Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Here we're going to talk a little about the psychology of learning and explain some of the roller coaster emotions you may feel while you're learning to fly. Learning to fly is rewarding, but from time to time you're going to feel frustrated. This tutorial will give you a mental model to work with to help you understand why these feelings are quite normal. I'm indebted to Chris Drew for providing much of the training material for this tutorial. The first 4 stages of learning will be explained to you, and a 5th stage has been added in recent years by educational psychologists. The 5 stages of learning are unconscious incompetence, where you don't know what you don't know. Conscious incompetence, where you now know what you don't know and you now know you have something to learn. Conscious competence, where you've learned the new skill, but you need to concentrate on it quite a bit in order to keep getting it right. And then unconscious competence, where you ultimately internalize the skill, so you do it unconsciously, you don't even realize you've done it. And then finally, this 5th stage, which has been added in recent years, is conscious unconscious competence, which we'll explain a little later.
So let me just go through the 4 steps and then we'll back up and go through each of them. They are unconscious incompetence. Then we move to conscious incompetence. Then moving to conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. So it's a play on these words of conscious, unconscious, and competent and incompetent. So the very first one is unconscious incompetence. And what this means is that you don't know that you don't know. So, you know the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, that's literally the definition of unconscious incompetence. It's about you not having awareness of something and not even knowing that you don't. So let's say, we'll work this into a story here, into an analogy for you to wrap your head around it. Let's say that I come and I tell you about this great thing called golf. And you go, golf? Well, what is that? I've never even heard of that before. So up to that point, you didn't know what you didn't know. You were unconsciously incompetent. You didn't know about golf, and you didn't even know that you didn't know.
Unconscious incompetence is that stage where the learner doesn't know anything. And this can be very frustrating because not only can't you do the task, but you don't even necessarily appreciate that the task needs to be learned.
And that second level is conscious incompetence. So now what is it? What did I write here? Incompetence. So what did this mean now? What does it mean now? Somebody pointed out that I'm negative, right? That I have a negative personality. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you are right. Now I am conscious that I am incompetent at being what? Positive. First, on level 1, I have no idea that I cannot be positive. I have no idea that it's hard for me to think positive about life. It's not my case, and I'm just giving you an example. I've actually managed to switch from the negative side into the positive side. Of course, things can happen in our lives, and we'll always revert to the negativity, but we are aware of it. Okay, that's key. Okay, for you to get here, you first need to know that you don't know something, and then you know. Okay, here I know what I don't know. So for example, somebody's teaching you a new skill, and first you didn't even know that it existed. Let's say pay-per-view marketing. Maybe this is the first time you hear the term pay-per-view marketing, right? Before you didn't know that you didn't know. You had no clue that you needed to know pay-per-view marketing. Now you hear it from me, and now you're like, wow, I know that I am incompetent at pay-per-view marketing, right? I know what I don't know, pay-per-view marketing. So what comes next? Well, teach me more, right?
The conscious incompetence stage is very important to you because when you're in this frame of mind, you're strongly motivated to learn. You and your instructor will work hard at this stage as a team to ensure that you develop the necessary skills. However, flight safety might become an issue, so beware. Both you and your instructor need to ensure you don't fixate on the training at the expense of good airmanship.
Okay, so now we move to the third level, and this is called conscious competence, and this is where we spend most of our time. This is, I know about it, and I'm competent, I can do it, but I have to be thinking about it all the time. So I'm competent in the fact that I can do it, but I'm always thinking. So back to our golf analogy, let's say I get some golf clubs and I go out to the driving range and I'm practicing. So when I come up to grab the club and to hit the ball, I'm going to have to think. I'm going to have to be very conscious. I'm in my head. I'm thinking, are my feet lined up? Are my thumbs here correctly? Are my pinkies locked? Do I not lock them? Do I twist? Where's my shoulders, my head? Which way is the wind blowing? All of these factors are a part of you being able to master the skill of hitting the golf ball.
When you achieve conscious competence, you're able to complete the task on your own and without the instructor's support. However, you will find that you'll still need to focus very hard on the task at hand to minimize the mistakes that you might make. The abilities that you've got at this stage are not actually habitual. However, you will feel encouraged as you start seeing some results now, and you will feel probably determined to get over the last few hurdles to finish the job. From time to time, you're going to feel a little awkward because you'll need to pause, stop and think before proceeding. Your instructor at this stage will give you plenty of time to practice so you can gain the experience necessary. From a flight safety viewpoint, you need to be very careful not to fall into the trap of fixating on mastering this task that you're trying to master at the expense of good airmanship.
Favorite level here, and this is where we all want to reach, and this is called unconscious competence. And yeah, you guessed it. What happens at the unconscious competence level? This is when you drive home and you know exactly what to do and you don't need to think about it. You could be having a conversation with somebody next to you. You could be, talking on the phone, hopefully with your hands-free headset. Or you tie your shoelace and you don't need to think about it. Or you cook your favorite meal and you can sing while you do it. You can even watch television or listen to something else because you know your body knows exactly what it's doing. So you are unconsciously competent, and this is where we all want to get, okay?
So when you've reached the fourth stage of learning, you are at the unconscious competence stage. You can complete the task really without too much effort, and you don't need any proper or real support from your instructor. The fifth stage I've added here just to complete the tutorial. The fifth stage has been added in recent years by educational psychologists, and that's the stage where not only are we unconsciously competent, but we can go back and revisit the things that we do, unpick them, and then represent them to a pupil or a trainee so that they can understand what we do. And if you think about it, many things that you do in life are unconscious, and if you need to pass that knowledge on to another person, you will need to at first unravel it so that you can explain in detail exactly what you do. So the 5 stages of learning are unconscious incompetence, where you don't know what you don't know; conscious competence, where you now know that you have something to learn. Conscious competence, where you are now able to do the task, but you need to spend quite some time pausing and thinking about what it is that you need to do next. And then we move to unconscious competence, where you are able to do the task and you can do it almost in your sleep. You don't realize that you've actually done it. And then the fifth and final stage is conscious unconscious competence, where you're able to revisit that probably after 2,000 or 3,000 cycles of practice. You're able to revisit that, unpick it, and then teach it to others. So your emotional Big Dipper might look a little like this. First, you'll realize that there's more to learn than you originally thought. You'll feel depressed at times as tasks seem to be getting bigger in front of you rather than smaller. You'll feel elated at times as you master new skills. Your confidence will grow as you master new skills and you realize that you have greater capability than perhaps you originally thought. And my top tip to you is always, if you feel a little down or you feel that you're struggling, pause and examine what it is that you can do and not just reflect on the things that you're struggling to do right now. So thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you next time.